Hello there, Carrie Rhoades here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today is episode 1 of my May Stamp Set of the Month series, featuring a cute turnabout stamp from Concord 9th. It's the Rainbow Turnabout. I saw this and had to have it. It's one of their newest releases, and I'm all about bright colors and rainbows, and so I knew I would be able to make a lot of cool things with this stamp set and incorporate it with some of my other fun Concord 9th products. So watch out for a new video every week featuring this turnabout stamp, and we're gonna get started today making cards that are bright versus pastel. Bright or pastel? You tell me which one you like. Okay, let's get started. Let's take a look at the inks I'm going to be using on the first two backgrounds. I have a row of brights and a row of pastels, all from Ultraviolet. Now, Ultraviolet sells theirs in 4 packs, so I have a bright and a pastel from each of these different 4 packs. And here is the Rainbow Turnabout stamp set. The first time I'm opening it, and I was so excited. I think this stamp set is so much fun. So when you get it, you get an alignment aid and the stamp set, and then it shows you what it looks like at each turn. This is a Turnabout Jig. You're going to need one of these if you don't have one, and you only ever need one. As you can see, mine is very well used. This is your alignment aid, and you're going to stick your stamp to it, and it's going to help you line it up. So what we do is peel that stamp off the backing, and then you're going to take it and turn it stamp side down and line it up with the picture on the alignment aid. And make sure the alignment aid is the appropriate way. It should say this side up. And then you're going to take the X on the alignment aid and line it up with the X on the jig. When that's lined up as best as you can possibly get it, then you're going to close the door of your stamp positioning tool and pick up the stamp. The jig will stay in the corner of your tool, and then you can remove that alignment aid and save it. You'll use it every time that you use the stamp. I have a piece of 5.5 by 4 inch white cardstock, and you can see there's little registration marks, so you know where to stick your paper on the jig. I put a little temporary adhesive on that and then line it up with those registration marks. You want to have a damp cloth so you can clean off your stamp in between. You want the number 1 in the top right corner on your jig as well. Now we're going to ink up our stamp with our first color. When I am doing turnabout stamping, I always stamp the image twice before switching colors. And that's because there's a lot of open rubber space that does not have stamped images, and it can easily get ink on it if you ink up your stamp really well, press it down too hard. So I would prefer to do a light inking 2 times versus getting a smudge where I don't want it. So now I've stamped and I turned my jig so the number 2 is in the right hand corner. I'm cleaning off my stamp with my microfiber cloth, and then I'm bringing in my second color, Autumn Blaze, and I will ink up the stamp for the second color because I have the 2 in the top corner. So I try to, when I'm turnabout stamping, have a routine that I do. So I ink and stamp 2 times. As soon as I've done that, I turn my jig. So the next number is in the upper right hand corner. And then I clean off my stamp and ink it for that turn. And if I just keep in that routine, then I'm less likely to stamp without having turned my jig. So that's my routine. That's what I do. And I am loving how this rainbow background is turning out. You may have noticed that the rainbow, when you stamp it, the bows are in different places on each of the rainbows. So not all of them are going to be red, orange, yellow. It's going to be mixed up a little bit. So now we're on color number 4, Forest Glades, and that will finish up the turnabout stamping for this background. And I love bold, bright colors, so this made me really happy. But I also wanted to bring in some blue. So I have this Teal Cave blue color that I am stamping the tiny little cloud from this stamp set to fill in that background. And it really gives me what I wanted, the 5 different rainbow colors there. And I love this tiny little stamp. I could see myself using this on lots of different projects. It's so cute. So precious. All right, so that will finish up our first bright background. And let's move on to the pastel. So I'm using blush ink for my first color. I am going to show a little bit less of the steps moving forward on all the Turnabout stamping, but I did stamp it 2 times every time. Every time. All right, so here is Sunkissed for the orange. And then for yellow, I have Citrus Burst. This is a pastel, but it still has like a brightness to it. Almost a fluorescent, but I really like these colors together. Frayed Leaf for the green, and then Dewdrops for my little clouds. And I thought I would be sold on the bright rainbow, but I don't know. I love how this pastel one turned out. Love it. I couldn't stop. You guys, I could not stop. I made 4 backgrounds. So I switched up the colors a little bit. I had Coral Berry, Maple Yellow, Olive Green, and the Teal Cave, and oh my word, then I was like, no, this one's my favorite. So then I had to do a second pastel, and I switched out the yellow and the green, and I brought in blue and purple. I had to have one with a purple in it. And then when I stamped the clouds, I stamped the same blue that I used on the background, and I love how it tied those 2 colors together. So that was like, oh yeah, I have to put blue in my rainbow now. And look at the teal one with the teal clouds. Okay, so now I have 4 backgrounds, and it is time to bring those in, show them all to you, let you pick out a favorite. Maybe you can't decide either. And now I'm going to make cards with these. So on the first 2 backgrounds, I am taking a purple color and stamping this little cluster of circles in the open spaces because I wanted to have all 6 of the rainbow colors. So that's what I did here, and these 2 purples are from the same oval set, so I liked doing that throughout this project. All right, I have this So Pretty die set from Concord 9th that I'm going to use to complete all the cards today. You can get this in a bundle, the die set, a stamp set, and the thread with needles. So I'm going to be using that today. I'm not using the stamp set that goes with it, but I am using the threads and the needles from Concord 9th, and I feel like it's the needle is like just the perfect size, and there's like a pack of 6, and so I'm probably never going to lose all 6 of them, and that makes me so happy. So here I am stitching. I did some back stitching so that I had solid stitching all the way around, but you can see I'm just like stitching the top part because I wanted to have a rainbow hello. And there I'm showing you how I do my knot by wrapping the thread around my needle 3 times and then pulling the needle through those wraps, and it pulls into a knot. So there's my orange and my yellow, and then on the back, I'm just taking a little stitch on the back through what I've already sewn, and then pulling that through the hole and making a knot. So that's how I'm finishing it off on the back, and you can see it's kind of messy, but we're going to cover that up and take care of that. And I finished it off with some green, and it really matches my rainbow card so good. So we'll set that aside, and then I decided I wanted some sparkle and shimmer on my backgrounds, so I added some sparkle silk. First I was only going to put it on this one, but I liked it so much I decided I might as well add some sparkle silk to all 4 of my backgrounds, and I think that it adds that little extra something that rainbows should have, sparkle. All right, so I have a scrap of teal cardstock that I stamped Miss You on. This is from the Rainbow Turnabout set. I took it for a dip in some white embossing powder and embossed that and trimmed it off with my scissors. And I will now go ahead and start assembling all the pieces to my card. So I have some foam tape that I'm using to cover up all that stitching, and I feel like it's the perfect way to adhere these panels of stitching to my card. The card front or background that I made, I've now trimmed down to 4 inches by 5 1/4 so that I can mount that with a white border all the way around on a top folding note card that is 4 1/4 inches by 11 inches and scored at 5 1/2. And now I'm removing the backing to my foam tape and mounting my cute stitched panel to my card, and I love how it's tying all the rainbow together. I'll add that miss you sentiment right below the word hello, and that adds the teal that I needed. And then I had some die cut hearts that I added also in purple. So I now have all my rainbow colors, and I thought those needed to pop just a little bit more, so I brought in some glaze and covered each of the hearts with some glaze to really help them pop off the card. And I love that bit of shininess to it. And that is card number 1. Oh, now we will move on to our pastel card and another of the dies from the So Happy die set. This is a diamond that you can either leave open on one side, or you can puzzle piece this little extra length of die into it to create a complete diamond. It's very clever. And then I'm trimming off the edges of that. One of my corners was not pointed, so I ended up trimming all the corners to be flat and then stitched it with the gray thread, and I thought it looked a little bit silvery, and so it really went with the like sparkle in the background. I don't know. And then I just tied a knot with the loose ends on the back of that one. And then I have this gray ink industrial diamond, and I'm stamping the words feel better, but the first one was crooked, the second one was too light, and the third one is just right. So I'll trim that out again with my scissors. I always have these scraps when I cut down my cardstock, so I just save them for stamping sentiments like this. And sometimes I'm feeling brave and I trim it out with my scissors. So let's put this one all together, and I'm using pretty much the same layout for all the cards. When I have an idea, it's so nice to just carry that idea through on several cards, and so all of my elements are going to be on the lower half of the card, and then my stitched panels are all going to be popped up with foam tape. I'm going to try and include hearts on them or some type of embellishment, and this bigger heart I thought was a perfect spot to put my really small feel better sentiment. Cute. And then I added some gems from Nuvo. Aren't these awesome? They have a rainbow shimmer to them, so when you turn them in the light, you're getting rainbow color just like the background. I love those. I use them all the time. All right, now I have some teal cave ink. I'm going to stamp my sentiment on this stitched panel. It is kind of an ombre look with 3 different colors of thread from that pack. And then I took that same color I used on my background to stamp thank you in the bottom corner. For this one, I am bringing in some glitter paper to put across the bottom, and that will peek out from behind the sentiment. And I was like, why didn't I use glitter paper on all of these? But each one is special and unique and has its own cool thing. And this one's glitter paper. And then I have some sequins that I'm going to stick on. These already have adhesive on the back. Thank you very much. And that just brought out the yellow. I didn't repeat the use of the pink, but I think not doing that helped the pink really pop off of that background. So look at that card. I am in love with that stitched hello, and I could stitch hello for all my cards now. I loved doing the stitching for these so much. I have another video with this die set, and I will link it for you at the end of this video so you can check that out if you want. Now I'm going to stitch the flower. I used the back of the packaging as a guide to know how to stitch the flowers. I'm going to be completely honest with you, mine did not look as good as that digital picture. So I might have to practice this some more, but I don't care because it's so fun. I don't know if you have done this kind of stitching on your cards before, but you should really give it a go. It's easy to do. It would be fun to do with kids too. So here's how this card turned out. I originally was using the thread from the pack, but it didn't quite match my card. So I pulled out some thread that I already had on hand and switched up the colors a little bit. And then I took some of that sparkle silk and I painted it right on the thread to make it have some shimmer. And then some pink hearts, I painted those as well. And then I'm also going to cover the hearts with the glaze, and the look that this gives is like mother of pearl. It's so cool. And that finishes up the 4th card. So I have 2 pastel cards, 2 bright cards, and I love them all. I don't know if I could pick a favorite. I don't know. I love them. They were so fun to make. The stitching with the rainbows, it was just like a fun afternoon of crafting. My daughter was in the room stitching on some fabric with me, and so it was a great day, and that's what this should be about, is having fun, right? I hope that you are inspired and maybe will have some ideas with this new Turnabout stamp set. I will be back again next Tuesday with a new video for you and new ideas. So come check it out. I will see you again very soon. Happy stamping. Bye.